Hello and welcome to this week's live weekly warm-up. I'm very excited because this week is going to be actually a continuation of one of the challenges from my New Year's challenge. If you're not familiar with that, you can check in the description for a link to the original video explaining that. You could also search in YouTube, Quick Start Clarinet, what to focus on in 2020. The reason why I'm doing this one now is because we're halfway through 2020, which seems crazy. It's really been quite a year. But I'm really excited for this challenge. I think it's been helpful in my own playing so far this year, and I hope it's been successful for any of you who have been sticking with it. If you remember, just for like a brief description of what this challenge is at the beginning of the year, I sort of made a New Year's resolution to play just one note long tones every single time that I practiced. And basically what that one note long tone looks like is literally just playing one note, really being super diligent about the beginning of it, the sustain through it, and a good finish to the note so that I can play it really well. Because if you can't play one note perfectly and beautifully, then you're not going to have a chance to be able to play many notes throughout a piece beautifully and precisely. So the idea was to get that like great control, great finesse over just one note. Now, the extension of that, the new version that we're going to be doing today, is a 2-note long tone challenge, or even you could think of it as a 1-interval challenge. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick an interval and do the 2 notes in between that interval. And you can start on whatever note. You can go up, you can go down, you can pick any 2 notes on the instrument. It's totally up to you. But what you're going to do is basically like 2 1-note long tones, but now instead of just playing one note, sustaining through it beautifully, you're going to play one note, sustain through it beautifully, and then transition to another note. So again, this is just a super simplification of like the most basic form of a long tone, where we're focused entirely on the quality of the sound. And then now we're adding in that transition between the notes. So we're starting to match the quality of sound between 2 notes. Because it's true that we need to, like if we can't play one note beautifully, then we're not going to be able to play music beautifully. But also if we can't move from note to note beautifully, then the music won't work either. So this is just another super simple exercise, as all warm-ups should be, that will allow us to really get like the maximum quality out of it. So I'm going to try this. I'll start with just a perfect 4th interval. You don't necessarily need to like pick a specific interval. If you don't know your intervals, that's totally okay. I'm going to pick a perfect 4th interval and then do like a couple different perfect 4ths, starting and ending on different notes, just to keep it more organized. But you can do literally any 2 notes that you want. So first, it's really important to get a great start and get a great sound. I think the start was okay. I think the sound warmed up pretty well, but then the transition is the thing that we're adding for this one. And I think my transition was really bad. The C was good and clear and full, and then the F was like much softer and less resonant. So I'm going to try that again and see if I can be more prepared for what I need to do to make that F sound great. That was a bad start. That was better. I retried the F again, and I actually did the F on its own to sort of find where that feels the best, and then see if I can get the transition smooth and get straight to that best sounding F right away. It's perfectly fine to keep experimenting. That's what this exercise and really all warm-up exercises are all about, is just experimenting, trying different things, and really going for the sound you want. So now I'm going to try a perfect 4th on a few different notes and see how that goes. Bad start. was okay. I think the sustain of the G was maybe a little bit wobbly, but I'll take that one for now. I'll do another one. So that one had a little squeak at the transition, the first transition, which was just a finger coordination issue. And I also had a little squeak at the end because I was probably tightening up a little bit too much at the end. So I tried that again. Now you can do this with even really big intervals. You could do 12ths are a great one. That makes it really similar to the 12th long tone exercise that we've done before. You could even do bigger than a 12th. You could do 2 octaves. And you can see how when I'm warming up, I have squeaks and squawks and notes that don't sound great, and that's totally normal. That's why we warm up, is to sort of find those things, figure out how our reed's working for the day, figure out how our mouth is working for the day, and truly get that warm-up experience and really master these fundamentals. I've been saying a lot lately in my lessons and things that playing the clarinet is like each note has its own sort of coordinates for all of the variables that you need to get down between the embouchure pressure, the like shape of the embouchure, the tongue position, the way you're aiming the air, the motion of the tongue on articulation, the air pressure, the air volume, all of those different variables. You have to like have all of those coordinates dialed in just perfectly for each note. And though they don't have to change a lot for each note, there's sort of these like micro adjustments that have to take place. And every single reed is a little bit different for like where those notes sound the best on that particular reed on that particular day. And that's what warming up is all about, is finding those. And this exercise is perfect for that because you have the one note long tone sort of embedded in it where you're just playing a note, finding how to make that note sound its very, very best. And then you're also transitioning to another note, making that note sound its very best, and making that smooth transition between those little tiny, tiny, tiny micro adjustments that you need to make to go from note to note. One little point about that is you don't want to be thinking too much about adjusting a lot. You don't want to move around a lot when you're going from note to note, but there are definitely some micro adjustments that happen, especially with like the stuff inside of the mouth and maybe the air support a little bit. There are always really small adjustments though. If you think about adjusting too much, you're probably going to do too much. So don't think about changing your embouchure pressure or air pressure or tongue position. Just think about getting those notes to come out the best they can, finding where they really sound good, and just experimenting with that. So I hope that was helpful for this week's live weekly warm-up. And this one's really fun because it's sort of an extension of the challenge. I would love to hear if anybody's been sticking with that one note challenge that I described at the beginning of 2020. I know there's been so many crazy things this year. It's been a little bit hard for me to like keep up with practicing and doing all of this stuff, but I think it has made a difference. I'm feeling really much more confident with experimenting with these notes and like trying to get my very best sound all of the time. So I would love to hear if anybody's having success with this exercise in the comments on this. And of course, feel free to leave any questions that you have. And thank you so much for watching this. And I'll see you next week in the next live weekly warm-up.